There's a lot of dirty stuff going on in the Biden family, but guess what? In a weird way, they end up looking like the victims compared to the Machiavellian kind of maneuvering from Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, and behind all of it, Barack Obama. One thing we've been looking forward to with regard to the end of the Biden presidency is, the catfights. The catfights, the ugly, ugly catfights between Jill Biden and Kamala Harris, between Jill Biden and Nancy Pelosi, a little bit between Jill Biden and Melania Trump, although, frankly, I think that Jill sort of likes Melania a little bit. How about Jill Biden and Michelle Obama? You know, there's a reason why Michelle Obama didn't show up at the funeral for Jimmy Carter. She's not going to show up at the inauguration either. She doesn't like any of these people, and frankly, they don't like her. We're looking forward to all the tell-all books, too. I want Karine Jean-Pierre to throw Jen Psaki under the bus. I want all of it to happen. It's going to be ugly. Oh, Kamala Harris's book is going to be fantastic, too, because she has such high regard for herself that she's going to blame everybody else, especially all of the women in the Biden White House, especially this woman, Dr. Jill Biden. She's a doctor, don't you know? Well, she's begun launching the grenade. She's begun taking out the long knives and stabbing her pals in the back. But she would argue that she's actually just stabbing back. She gave an exit interview, as it were, to the Washington Post this week. And check out this passage right here. It's up to the president to decide if he's going to run, Pelosi said, even though Biden had already decided that he was staying in the race. You'll remember that moment. This is when Pelosi officially threw Biden under the bus. It was an appearance on Morning Joe on MSNBC the week after the debate in July, when she was asked, are you concerned about Joe Biden? Do you think he should stay in the race? And Pelosi's answer was, it's up to the president to decide if he's going to run. Now, Biden has spent the entire week at rallies, an interview with George Stephanopoulos saying, I'm not going anywhere. Of course I'm running. I could win this thing. I'm the only one who can win this thing. And so here's Nancy Pelosi saying it's up to him to decide if he's going to run. And that was the beginning of the end. That was the power play that happened, started on MSNBC and Morning Joe with the smart set conventional wisdom Democrats watching. And then it dominoed throughout the entire month. So then they remind Jill Biden in this interview of that moment. And Jill says, like I said, Jill says now, seated in the green room of the White House on the first Sunday of January, I've been thinking a lot about relationships. Her face, nearly pearlescent with lustrous foundation, betrays no particular emotion. She's holding a china cup. By the way, if I can just pause for a minute, because we often point out media bias and how the left is just in the tank as lying propagandists for Democrats and the left and their partners in the deep state media. But sometimes it's obvious. Sometimes it's they're lying and they won't acknowledge the truth and they're attacking Trump with lies and they're trying to cover for Kamala and they're trying to cover for Joe Biden. And that stuff's obvious. It's this stuff. It's this little stuff in the style section of the Washington Post as they're writing about Jill Biden, who, do you think they would ever use this kind of language about Melania Trump, a legitimate global icon fashion model and one of the most beautiful women ever to grace the White House? Would they ever use these words? Her face nearly pearlescent with lustrous foundation. I mean, that's just gag worthy. But no offense. I've seen pictures of Jill back in the day when she, was the babysitter of Hunter and Beau and sort of caught Joe's eye. That's a creepy story right there, too. She's a lovely young woman. And she's a lovely older woman now, I suppose, but she doesn't really have the same sense of fashion or style that we're used to with certain first ladies. I mean, it's kind of an old, tired joke, but it's true. Most of her outfits do look like the upholstery of your grandmother's sofa. And in no way, well, I digress a little bit, but it's just another obvious example of the left-wing media bias that this writer decided to say, her face nearly pearlescent with lustrous foundation. All right. So anyway, she's been thinking a lot about relationships lately, she says. She's holding a china cup. I wonder if Hunter brought that back from China. by the way. Part of the deal with, oh, I'm sorry, what? It's not that kind of China? Oh, okay, sorry, thank you. She's holding a China cup, tea with honey and lemon. It's been on my mind a lot, lady, and Jill pauses. We were friends for 50 years. She's using her teacher's voice now. It was disappointing. Oh, this is just the beginning. This is just the beginning of the Jill Biden, Nancy Pelosi catfight that is going to explode in the next couple of months. The tell-alls are going to be beautiful. The Amazon Prime or Netflix series are going to be fantastic. There isn't enough popcorn in the world to watch this entire disintegration. I've been telling you, they all hate each other. They all hate each other. And, well, listen, when there's power involved and legacy involved and trying to save Fed, they're all going to throw each other under the bus, and it's going to be gorgeous. Cut to CNN last night, Caitlin Collins interviewing Chris Coons, a senator from Delaware, who, if you're a politician in Delaware, you are very familiar with the Biden family because the Bidens are sort of the Corleone family of Delaware politics. Coons responds to questions by Caitlin Collins about this Jill Biden quote in the Washington Post. And check out what Chris Coons does here.
But on Jill Biden and looking at this, she had a quote today to the Washington Post about Nancy Pelosi's role and Biden getting out of the race. And she said, quote, "We were friends for 50 years. Imagining she was using her teacher's voice. She said, quote, "It was disappointing." You know that Jill Biden is very careful with how she uses her words. What did you make of that moment?
Well, it's the first I'm hearing of it, but what I make of it is that she may well have wished that Speaker Pelosi had engaged directly with them rather than orchestrating a campaign to try and get President Biden to step down from the race. Ultimately, it was the right thing for him to do.
Hold on a minute. Hold on a minute. Hold on a minute. Did you hear what he just said on the record on CNN? Did you catch that? This is really important. This is one of those times when a politician tells the truth inadvertently. And I've got some theories about why he did this, by the way, but it was an accident. You got to know something. Chris Coons was the chairman of the Biden campaign. Okay. Chris Coons knows exactly what happened on July 21st, when Joe Biden put out that letter saying that he was getting off the ticket and then immediately an hour later endorsed Kamala Harris. He knows exactly what happened in the days leading up to that moment. He was the chairman of the campaign. And look what he just revealed.
What I make of it is that she may well have wished that Speaker Pelosi had engaged directly with them rather than orchestrating a campaign to try and get President Biden to step down from the race.
Okay, so just so you know, we've all been saying it and people have been talking about it and there's been speculation. Not one person affiliated or connected officially with the Biden campaign, the Biden family, the Biden White House, or Nancy Pelosi have ever on the record confirmed that that is exactly what happened. Whenever asked about it, everyone's just demurred. Everyone's just, oh, God, they've dodged the question, right? Nancy Pelosi sort of referred to it and then given a wink, but never confirmed it. It's now confirmed. That's exactly what she did to her friend of 50 years. That's exactly what Nancy Pelosi is capable of doing in her desperate, maniacal quest for power for her political party. And now it's confirmed inadvertently. I don't think he meant to do it. I think that they talk about it so much amongst themselves that Chris Coons is like, what? Everyone didn't know that? Wait. We were keeping this a secret? Because, he's Chris Coons. He's not the sharpest knife in the drawer. He's not the brightest bulb in the tree. He's from Delaware. All right, I'll let you watch how this finishes. Because you can all see it. Caitlin Collins is like, wait a second. Were you supposed to say that? Look at Caitlin Collins' face. All right, let's let this play out.
Ultimately, it was the right thing for him to do for his candidacy, for the country, for the party. But I do think there were some hard feelings about how that happened. At the end of the day, what matters most is that today, tonight, in that speech and in our conversation, I'm reflecting on the remarkable things that President Biden got done. He ran on bipartisanship. He spoke at his inauguration about working across the aisle. There were lots of folks who thought he wouldn't be able to get much done in a badly divided Congress, inaugurated just 2 weeks after January 6th. And in the end, he signed into law bipartisan bills that did more for infrastructure, gun safety, investing in veterans, rebuilding manufacturing than any president in decades. It's a really strong record of accomplishment.
He's leaving office despite that with an approval rating that matches when it was at his low.
Yeah, all right. There's no reason to watch the end of it there. That's a good place to cut it off anyway. But that's huge and that's remarkable. And it portends for some pretty juicy stuff after the fact. Everything you have suspected about these people is true. They are low class. They are low rent. They're gross. I mean, look at how they raise their child. There's a lot of dirty stuff going on in the Biden family. But guess what? In a weird way, they end up looking like the victims compared to the Machiavellian kind of maneuvering from Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, and behind all of it, Barack Obama. And none of them have learned a damn thing. Good. Just keep doing what you're doing, Democrats. You know what? You guys were right. We were wrong. You just need better communications, better messaging. Yeah. And you know what? Kamala should run in 28. She's your best chance. Really.